Are you a busy gardener who dreams of rich, healthy soil but can't find the time for traditional composting? What if I told you there's a composting method so lazy it practically does itself? Get ready to transform your garden with minimal effort and maximum results. No more back-breaking turning or complicated ratios required. What if your biggest gardening secret wasn't a fancy fertilizer but something you're probably throwing away right now? Prepare to discover a composting method so shockingly easy, you'll wonder why you ever did it any other way. Fellow gardeners, let's be honest about the composting struggle. We've all been there, standing in our gardens, dreaming of that black gold we know our plants desperately need, but feeling overwhelmed by the traditional composting rulebook. Turn every 2 weeks, maintain perfect carbon to nitrogen ratios, monitor moisture levels like a laboratory scientist. Who has time for that when you're juggling work, family, and the 100 other tasks that fill our days? I remember my own composting disasters from years past. Bins that turned into slimy, smelly messes because I forgot to turn them for months. Piles that dried out into cardboard-like layers because I couldn't keep up with the watering schedule. Mountains of kitchen scraps that attracted every raccoon in the neighborhood because I didn't balance them properly with browns. The guilt was real every time I threw banana peels in the trash, knowing they should be feeding my soil instead. But here's what changed everything for me and what I'm about to share with you. Composting doesn't have to be complicated, time-consuming, or stressful. There's a method so beautifully lazy that it works with your busy schedule instead of against it. This isn't about finding more hours in your day, it's about letting nature do what it does best while you focus on the other joys of gardening. The lazy composting secret that totally transformed my gardening life is trench composting, which is also known as the dig and drop method. This ancient technique is just so simple it almost feels like cheating, yet it produces some of the richest, most nutrient-dense soil amendments you'll ever see. Instead of building elaborate bins or, managing complex piles, you're literally burying your compostable materials directly in your garden beds. Here's how ridiculously easy it is. Dig a trench about 12 to 18 inches deep and as long as you need in any area where you want to improve your soil. This could be between existing plants, in a future planting bed, or even along your garden borders. Drop your kitchen scraps, fallen leaves, grass clippings, and other organic materials directly into this trench. Cover everything with the soil you dug out, water it once if conditions are dry, and then just walk away. That's it. You've just created an underground composting factory that will work tirelessly for months without any intervention from you. The beauty of this method really lies in its forgiveness. There's no perfect ratio you have to maintain, no turning schedule to remember, and honestly, no bins to build or buy. The soil itself becomes your composting container, providing just the right environment for decomposition while hiding everything from pests and eliminating odors. You can add materials to different sections of your trench over time or, start new trenches in other areas of your garden as needed. The magic of trench composting happens thanks to the incredible ecosystem that already exists in your soil. When you bury organic materials, you're actually creating an oxygen-rich environment that beneficial microorganisms absolutely love. These microscopic workers, bacteria, fungi, and other decomposers, immediately get to work breaking down your scraps, transforming them into plant-available nutrients. Unlike surface composting, which can dry out or become waterlogged, buried materials maintain consistent moisture levels naturally. The soil acts as insulation, keeping temperatures stable and creating ideal conditions for decomposition. Earthworms are particularly attracted to these underground treasure troves, and their activity really accelerates the breakdown process while creating incredibly rich worm castings throughout your soil. For your green materials, think kitchen scraps like vegetable peels, coffee grounds, eggshells, and fruit cores. These nitrogen-rich additions fuel the microbial activity that drives decomposition. Your brown materials include fallen leaves, shredded paper, cardboard pieces, and small twigs. These carbon-rich elements provide structure and balance to your underground compost system. The beautiful thing about trench composting is that even if your ratios aren't perfect, the soil environment naturally buffers and adjusts the decomposition process. One of the biggest concerns people have about composting is attracting pests or creating unpleasant odors. Trench composting eliminates both of these issues completely. Because everything is buried under at least 6 inches of soil, there are no exposed food scraps to attract animals. The soil naturally filters and processes any gases produced during decomposition, preventing odors from reaching the surface. It's like having an invisible composting system that works around the clock without announcing its presence. The transformation in my garden after implementing lazy trench composting was nothing short of remarkable. Within just one growing season, I noticed my plants displaying deeper green foliage, more robust growth, and significantly improved yields. The soil structure itself changed dramatically. What was once compacted clay became loose, crumbly earth that retained moisture beautifully while draining excess water efficiently. You know, the finished compost from trench composting doesn't really look like that uniform, dark material you might expect from, say, traditional methods. Instead, it just kind of blends right into your existing soil, creating these rich pockets of organic matter that plant roots just love to seek out and thrive in. And honestly, when you dig in areas where you've done trench composting a few months earlier, you'll notice the soil is darker, more fertile, and absolutely teeming with earthworm activity. I gotta say, my vegetable yields increased substantially in the areas where I used trench composting. Tomatoes grew larger and, wow, more flavorful. Lettuce stayed tender way longer into the season, and root veggies like carrots and beets developed these really robust, well-formed roots. Even my flower beds showed dramatic improvements. Perennials were more vigorous, annuals bloomed longer and more prolifically, and honestly, everything just seemed more resistant to drought stress. What makes these results even more satisfying is just knowing they required, well, virtually no ongoing effort from me. While other gardeners spent their weekends turning compost piles and adjusting moisture levels, I was out enjoying my garden or, tackling other projects. This lazy composting system just worked quietly underground, improving my soil 24 hours a day without any supervision. Your path to effortless earth-friendly gardening starts here. Getting started with lazy trench composting really just requires a shovel and your regular garden waste. Choose your first location based on where you most want to improve your soil. Maybe that's a tired vegetable bed or an area where your plants have struggled a bit. You can dig your trench during any season, though honestly, fall and early spring are ideal times since you'll have plenty of organic materials available, and soil conditions are usually pretty good for digging. Start saving your compostable kitchen scraps in a container, but, don't stress about perfect ratios or combinations. Vegetable peels, coffee grounds, eggshells, fruit scraps, tea bags, and even small amounts of cooked vegetables can all go into your trenches. Combine these with yard materials like fallen leaves, grass clippings if they're untreated, small pruning debris, and even shredded cardboard or newspaper. Just remember, this method works on nature's timeline, not our impatient human schedule. Decomposition usually takes about 3 to 6 months depending on your climate and what you've buried. The cooler your area, the longer the process takes, but the results are just as spectacular. You can keep adding materials to your trenches for several weeks after starting, or begin new trenches in different areas of your garden. The core principle of lazy composting is really about working with natural processes instead of trying to control them. Let the soil microorganisms, earthworms, and other decomposers do what they've been doing for millions of years. Your job is simply to provide them with materials and get out of their way. This approach not only saves you time and effort, but honestly, it often produces superior results compared to more intensive composting methods. Ready to revolutionize your gardening routine with this lazy composting secret? Your plants, and your schedule, will thank you for discovering this effortless path to healthier soil. Don't forget to subscribe to Smart Garden for more time-saving gardening secrets, and share this video with fellow busy gardeners who deserve to know that amazing soil doesn't have to come with amazing effort. So, what will you compost first using this lazy method? Let us know in the comments below.